Hey friends, it is Lane with Tim's Nation. I am here today to tell you a little bit about the Death Guard. No Death Watch today. We're going with Death Guard that I'm playing into DJ's Grey Knights. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this video because it's pretty simple. I have some shooting and some punching and some scoring. No, not reinventing the wheel here. It's pretty basic. I'm using the Death Guard Plague Host. Is it called the Plague Host? The original Plague Company. Plague Company. I didn't really like the Flybone Host, the Grotsmith detachment that much. Given the infantry stealth is kind of good, but I didn't really need the scout because I'm still going to put them in transports. I'm still going to deep strike the Terminators. So it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm just running original Plague Company. Then we'll try that today. So let's go through the list, and then we'll talk a little bit how I want things to interact with each other, what kind of synergies I'm looking for. So here we go. All right, this is 2,000 points exactly in Death Guard Plague Company. Of course, because I'm playing Death Guard, I have to have just so many characters. So we have 545 points worth of characters. Nothing even big, no Mortarion or anything, just a bunch of little characters. So because I'm running two squads of Plague Marines, of course, we have the Plague Marine buddies, the two Biologist Putrefiers, and two Foul Blight Spawns. The Biologist Putrefiers give me lethal hits on 5s. And they also have some, they give me the free grenades, and they also have a decent little gun there on them as well. And then, of course, the Foul Blight Spawn gives me the fight first and has a pretty good flamer on him as well. So 2 of each of those joining the Death Guard Plague Marines. Moving on, we do have 2 of the Death Guard Sorcerers and Terminator armor. These guys are going to be flying solo. They're great for 70 points. They have deep strike. They can deep strike in, score you a secondary, get on an objective maybe. And once per game, they shoot really hard. So the ranged weapon, they do have their Curse of the Leper is their Witchfire. If you overcharge, it's 2d6. Hits on 3, so it's not auto-hitting. But it hits on 3s, strength 6, AP 2, 1 damage. However, their special ability means that once per game, when you shoot that, you can give it +2 strength and +2 damage. So then it becomes strength 8, AP 2, flat 3 damage. Can be pretty strong there. So using them for scoring a little bit. We do have a Lord of Virulence. This is the only enhancement in the list. I've given him Shamble Rot. Just means the squad of Death Shroud Terminators is going to be leading. They're going to be -2 to charge. Anytime my opponent needs to charge them, it's going to be -2 to their charge roll. And of course, he gives them full rerolls to wound on the ranged attacks. So when they use their flamers, they get full rerolls to wound. He has a pretty decent flamer on himself as well. And then finally, we have Typhus. You know him, you love him. Everybody takes Typhus in their Death Guard because he's 80 points. He has Deep Strike. He's great for leading units, but he's also great for just a solo Deep Strike because he can Deep Strike in, score secondaries, but he can do a Psychic attack, and it's not a shooting attack, so he can still do his Psychic attack and do actions and that sort of thing. So his ability is the Eater Plague. So in the shooting phase, select an enemy unit with an 18. As long as it's not a lone op, you'd have to be within 12 inches to attack a lone op. And roll a d6. On a 1, Typhus suffers d3 mortal wounds. But on a 2 through 5, the opponent takes d6 mortal wounds. And on a 6, they take d3 plus 3. Again, this is not considered a shooting attack, so he can drop in, do some damage, but still do a secondary, do an action or something. So, moving on, we've got 2 squads of Plague Marines for our battle line. 2 10-mans. I have given these guys all the good close combat weapons. So we've got 4 guys with heavy plague weapons. A 5th one, if you count the champion. He's got a plasma gun and his heavy plague weapon. And then we've got 4 guys with the bubotic weapons, and then 1 guy with a plague spewer in there. So the unit has pretty different overwatch because they've got a plague spewer and the Foul Blight Spawn in there for their overwatch. They shoot surprisingly well because there's a few guns in there, mostly there for combat, but the character guns and the plague spewer and the plasma, they all just kind of add up, and they can do a little bit of damage to shooting. So we've got 2 of them. Their special rule is hilarious. While this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, each time you take a battle shock test, add 1 to the test. Okay. I don't know if I've ever used that or not. ever playing Death Guard. Moving on, we do have one Rhino. What's this? What's this? We've got 2 squads of Plague Marines, but only 1 Rhino. Yes, you'll find out why in a minute. But yeah, 1 Rhino to transport Plague Marines around in. And then this is the only thing on the list that I have that's not WYSIWYG. I've got 2 10-man squads of Death Guard cultists. They are being played by Poxwalkers today because I don't have any regular cultists. I just have tons and tons of Poxwalkers. So we're doing 2 10-mans of Poxwalkers playing as Death Guard cultists. The reason I want them as cultists is because the cultists do have a scout move, so they can get out there and score, area denial or something turn 1 or do an action. So they have that little scout move that's just handy. Then we do have a Death Guard Hellbrute. So I wanted some shooting in this list, and the Death Guard Hellbrute does not shoot particularly hard, but anything he hits in shooting or in fighting for that matter becomes in his contagion range. So I can shoot something far away, and then other things that shoot at it will be benefiting from the contagion. He's got the reason he's got a twin heavy bolter on him. There's 2 reasons for this. Number 1, this is an old resin model, very old school resin model that became equipped with a twin heavy bolter. So I'm not going to change him or convert him. But also the twin heavy bolter is 3 shots at 36-inch range, meaning if you take some of the other shooting options, they either have shorter range or like 1 or 2 shots. If I want to tag something and put it into contagion, this is the most consistent way to do it because it's long range and 3 shots. It's also all right into infantry because it's lethal and sustained and twin linked heavy bolters. So maybe they pick up something, but really it's there to put that contagion. He also does impact mortals when he charges and fights all right in combat. So I've got the CP. When this guy charges in, he can tank shock and do impact mortals from his basic rule and punch pretty hard. So he does have some killing in combat as well. Next, we do have a 6-man squad of Death Shroud Terminators. These guys are great, other than the fact they have a 4-inch move. But they are neg-1 to wound when they are led by a character. They're toughness 6. So they're pretty durable, chunky, and hard to kill. They'll be led by the Lord of Virulence to give them the rerolls to wound on their flamers when they make their shooting attacks. And then, this is how we're going to get some more Plague Marines around, is I also have a Death Guard Land Raider. A friend of mine had a Chaos Land Raider he wasn't using, had a bunch of spikes and things on it. I nerdled it up here, put a bunch of glop and goop on him to make it all gross and ugly, put the right weapons on there. Hilariously, he was missing the headlights from one side of his thing, so I put some Storm Bolter inside the headlights. This seemed like a good conversion. So, but yeah, we've got our Death Guard Land Raider. It doesn't really benefit from any of the Death Guard rules other than Contagion, when he can benefit from that. But his special rule, of course, is that he can move, disgorge his contents. The models inside can disembark, and they can still charge because he's got assault ramps just like regular Space Marine Land Raiders. And then finally, we have a couple of allied units here. We do have 2 War Dog Brigands. These guys shoot particularly hard, both into infantry and into vehicles. Their special rule is that when they shoot the nearest eligible target, they get +1 to their AP. Their ranged weapons are all ballistic skill 2. So he's got a chain cannon, 12 shots, hits on 2, strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage. Nearest eligible, that goes to AP 2, so that's pretty effective. And then the Demon Breath Spear is a big old Melta. It's 2 shots at 24 inches, hits on 2s, strength 12, AP 4, D6 damage, but it is Melta 4 when we get into half range. Plus they've got stubbers on the top. I didn't take the Havoc launchers because these guys were modeled with stubbers, and they've got little nurglings up on top there that are manning the stubbers. Make sure you can see those in the picture there because they are so cute and adorable riding around on these War Dog Brigands. These guys are great. They're especially going to benefit from the contagions when they reduce the armor of my target. So they really spike their armor. Like the Avenger Chain Cannon is AP 1. If it's the nearest eligible target, it goes to AP 2. And if something from the Death Guard is putting that target into contagion, it's functionally AP 3 because it reduces their armor. And that's probably going to take into Grey. So that is it. That's the list. Like I said, not reinventing the wheel here. Just want to have some shooting and some fighting and a few units for scoring. That's kind of basic Warhammer there. But Death Guard do these things pretty well. Not a lot of people take the Hellbrute specifically to put things in contagion, but I figure with the las cannons on the Land Raider and the War Dog Brigands, they could benefit from things being put into contagion from far away. And again, this matchup, it'll make a lot of sense going into 2-up armor infantry and things that are going to bounce around the table and be hard for me to get close to put into contagion. So we'll definitely try to use that Hellbrute. Hopefully he survives for a while because he's not super durable on his own. Only got 8 wounds. But yeah, that's it. And I think this is the first time I've used the Land Raider on the channel, or ever for that matter. So we'll see. I'm going to put some Plague Marines in there and see if they get a chance to get out and do some work. That 12-inch move plus the 3-inch disembark plus the charge should get them in a good position to get out there and really do some work. So that's what we're hoping to see today. All right, guys, follow me over to the actual battle report. Let's see how the Death Guard perform into the Grey Knights. See how the shiniest boys do into my dirtiest boys. All right, we'll see you there. Have a good one.